Trying to put on my.
Hold on a little. You said?
I'm trying to put on my video. I don't know if.
Yeah, okay. While you try to put on your video, so I'll just do a little introduction of our speaker, and I think we'll get things running. Yeah. Okay, so hello once again, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us from. My name is Mariam Suleiman, and I am a WMI Global Advisory Board member, and I will be serving as your host for today's webinar session on public speaking. So a little introduction of our guest speaker for today. So his name is Alpha Abib Bangura. He's a public policy, education, climate action, and youth skills development enthusiast with 6 years plus of experience living and working in West and Eastern Africa. Wow. Alpha explores the role of youth in making meaningful contributions to addressing pressing global challenges at national and international levels. He is currently working as a project lead in the office of the Mayor of Freetown, where he provides strategic leadership and advisory support on education, urban heat resilience, and human capital development. Alpha holds a first-class Bachelor of Arts degree with honors in global challenges from the African Leadership University in Kigali, Rwanda. Alpha is also the founder and executive director of Sustainable Education Africa, which is a skills and talent development consulting firm that is dedicated to building a generation of multifaceted transformational leaders for Africa through mentorship, research, and industry-specific training programs. In addition to this, his professional engagement with the mayor's office, Alpha spends most of his time as a teaching assistant of his time and also as a course designer at the Institute of Public Administration and Management in Sierra Leone. So it's amazing to have you here, Alpha. Thank you so much for joining us today. So I think the ball is in your court right now.
Thank you very much, Miriam. It's my pleasure to be here. I don't know if tech support has given me access to turn on my video. Okay. So like I said, it's my pleasure to be here. I've been through a hassle fighting with the internet to be online, to be with everyone viewing today. So as Miriam has rightly introduced me, I think I have nothing much to add because she said everything. But just briefly, I am an easygoing person who multitasks a lot, and I love football. My favorite team is Arsenal. Yeah, for the record.
Yay!
So I'm here today to share my experience. I'm here today to share my experiences on public speaking, what public speaking is, and give some tips on how to make an effective presentation. So to ask Miriam, the host and co-host, like what my audience look like in this session today, like who am I speaking to? Miriam?
Okay, so you're basically speaking to scholars who would, I think, would love you to share your experience as regards public speaking, how one can effectively speak in a public setting or environment. And yeah, I think that's basically it. So what are those strategies you've employed so far to be able to communicate your thoughts and expressions to your listeners or to the public, and how,
Okay.
yeah, I think that's basically it. Yeah, and then for someone
Okay.
who is not good at public speaking, what are those tips or what are those recommendations you could give that person to be able to come out of their shell and give that speech in public?
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. So let me try to share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, Alpha, I can. Beautiful.
Okay, good. Okay, so I've put together a few slides to guide the session as we go along, so that everybody viewing from wherever they are would be able to understand the basics of public speaking and a presentation in general. So I most often tend to blend public speaking and presentation as one, because they are synonymous to each in presentation. You have to employ public speaking a lot. So before I start in detail, I'd like to lay emphasis on communication being the greatest skill that you can ever have in life. So one of the things I learned right from childhood is my mom and my grandma telling me that you have to speak up for something you care about, and you have to talk to people, let them understand you, and also let them know how you're feeling or how you're being treated or mistreated, so that you will not be segregated, or you will not be unfairly served in whichever environment or community you find yourself. So growing up as a young person in Sierra Leone, I came to be active in different public and social engagement. So I was in advocacy. I joined the advocacy space in Sierra Leone since 2007, and I took a bow in 2017. So like active frontline advocacy, wherein you go and speak on a lot of issues. So I took a bow and decided to work on the project management and project implementation aspect of advocacy, to say, I just don't want to be talking, but I want to be doing. So now to our presentation in detail. So here's what I put together, what basically a presentation is, and what public speaking in general is. So public speaking is most of the time called oratory, or it's a form of oration wherein you are to speak face to face with a particular person or a group of people. And in modern day, you need to have an audience, and then you need to have like a speech or a couple of things that you want to talk about. You need to have it prepared so that you're able to deliver that speech using a means of technology, or in an event where technology is not available, you have to deliver it orally, like without technology. So with your voice, the power of your voice, how you project your voice, and all of that. So in the ancient and medieval days, we were taught about oratory skills from the days of Plato, Aristotle, wherein people will have to come up and challenge topics, challenge issues, ideologies with their voice and understanding. So that makes the definition of public speaking to be an act of sharing your thoughts and ideas by speaking to people, to a person or a group of people or a group of organizations, institutions within a confined environment. And in modern day as well, we can speak to people using technology to a large audience. For example, using TED Talk or doing a video and you post it on social media, or going Facebook Live, Instagram Live, TikTok, whatever means of communication you choose to use. So that is another medium you use to communicate to people through public speaking. So a presentation is also a form of communication, and it employs public speaking, to which you explain a content or a topic to an audience or to somebody wishing to learn something from you or something from your team. And as I said earlier on, it adopts a skill of public speaking to various situations when you have to talk to people or you have to address a meeting or brief a team. So wherever you find yourself, at any point in time, whether it's in a formal setting or it's in an informal setting, you have to talk to people. The moment it goes beyond the people that you know, let's say it goes beyond your family or your immediate circle, you're talking to people and you have one or two persons within that particular audience that you do not know, then it forms public speaking. So as long as it goes beyond one person to now speaking to the public, and there are different principles you have to abide by or you have to employ for you to be able to communicate whatever information you're trying to pass on effectively. So basically, in delivering your presentation or in giving a public speech, there are it is noteworthy for you to understand that there are 4 basic types of presentations that you can deliver. So the first is informative, wherein you are speaking to an audience to inform them about something or to increase their knowledge about a particular topic. And then the other type or purpose for which you deliver your speech or your presentation is to kind of increase the level of curiosity or awareness or desire for people to take action. So you kind of make them think about a particular thing or particular concept or problem in a certain way. Let's say, for example, you are going to deliver a speech about the value development. So you're delivering this speech to a community that has been dominated by having all men in the leadership and political or decision-making space. So you're now coming to change their mindsets, to let them realize that in a society where you have men and women, it is very important to have both genders. So you would deliver your presentation in a way that sends the message home to let people think deeper, in a way that they have. Next aspect is instructional. So as in giving instructions to people and let them know that these are step-by-step procedures that they can follow to carry out a necessary action or a specific set of actions. And then also you can deliver a speech or a public speech or a presentation to influence decision-making. So let's say you are given the opportunity to deliver a speech in the House of Parliament or in the General Assembly, depending on the type of government that your country practices, whether it's a republic or it's a confederate, whichever it is. So you are to speak in the House of Representatives, and there's a particular bill that is going on the right and safety of children, or safety and safeguarding of girls within the educational setting. So it happens that they, like in the House of Representatives, people have been deliberating a lot, and they have not been able to come to a conclusion, and it's a 3-day event. So the first day is done, the second day is done, and on the third day, they bring a young person, a youth, to speak on that particular topic. And then you speak from a place of passion in which you are sharing like your true life experiences and the experiences of members of your community as well, for the decision makers to actually reflect with you and also see things from your perspective. So depending on how powerful your speech is, you will be able to influence their resolve to make decisions, to take decisions that will benefit the cause for which you are delivering your speech. So there are different elements to delivering a speech or to delivering a presentation that you, the person delivering the speech, need to take into consideration. So these elements, we have the context, the presenter, you, the person delivering the speech or the presentation, and then we have the audience, we have the message, we have the reaction, we have the methods, and we have impediments. Give me a second, let me project. Okay, so for the context, in understanding the context, you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. So the first of them is when and where. So this deals with when will I be delivering the speech, or when will I be making my presentation, delivering this presentation or running this session. And then the second question is it within a formal or less formal setting? So you have to know the setting in which you're delivering your speech, whether it's very formal or whether it's a social gathering and it's informal or it is less formal, the type of people that are there and all of that. The third question looks at the group of people, like how large is your audience? Is it to a small group or to a large crowd? So knowing this would help you prepare well, and it will also help you take care of panic, because there are people who get shy and are sometimes timid when they're delivering a presentation or when they're speaking to a large number of people. And then the other question you have to look at is what equipment and technology will be available for my presentation or will be available to me in delivering my speech. So I've been to a couple of public speaking events wherein the speaker is delivering his or her presentation. They started off with a high pitch, like on a high note, very well. And then in the middle of the presentation, we had a problem with a PA system. So the PA system had a glitch and they had to use their own natural voice. And the speech ended up becoming so boring, and it was not much of a success to the speaker and the topic in which they were presenting. So it's very good for you to know what equipment will be used in that particular gathering or event where you're delivering your speech. And if it's a large crowd, most often it is advisable to use a microphone or a megaphone to deliver your speech. And then if it's a small crowd and you know it's a crowd that you can manage, you can be able to project your voice. So you should be able to practice using a microphone and also practice using your natural voice. For somebody like me who has a very loud voice, and I fluctuate between alto and bass, but most of the time I bring on bass when I'm delivering a speech, and I tune it down a little bit so it is kind of medium. So I have control over the like how far my voice can go, so that even the person at the back of the room will be able to hear my voice. And then the last question to ask yourself to understand the context of your presentation or your public speech is, what is the audience expecting to learn? So the people that are listening to your presentation or your speech, what do you want them to get out of your speech? Or what are some of their expectations? Are they there for a political rally? Are they there to talk about gender-based violence? Are they there to talk about women's political participation? Are they there to hear something about finance, managing your money? So knowing the purpose of the event and what the people signed up for will help you to understand what their expectations could be. So you would deliver your speech to meet their expectations. So the next one is the presenter. So you, the person delivering the public speech, you are the presenter. So your role is to communicate with the audience and to also be in control of the entire speech or the entire presentation. The next is the audience. So the audience, they are at the receiving end of the message that you are communicating, the message you're sending. Remember, in the spectrum of communication, in the channel of communication, you have the sender and the receiver. So the sender sends a message. The sender encodes a message and sends it. Then the receiver decodes the message, understands it, and sends a response again. So you should be able to know your audience and also package your message or structure your message in a way that your audience will be able to grasp the full meaning and understanding, and also create that enabling environment for you to deliver your speech or your presentation in an effective and confident manner. Reason why you should do that, because the audience, they can impact how you deliver your message. For example, if you are saying something that is comical, or you want to bring a little bit of humor into your speech, and you, the presenter, in bringing in that aspect into your speech, you do not, like, you continue laughing with them. Laughing is contagious. It's something that can move from one person to the other, and the entire room will start laughing, and you will not be able to control yourself. You just move out of context. So how you deliver your speech, your body language and all of that would determine how the audience will be able to influence your level of confidence and your composure, and also how you continue to end on a high note as how you started on a high note. The next aspect, the next element is the message. So the message basically is the information that you pass on. So it is delivered by you, and it determines the outcome of the entire speech. And how you speak, how you stick to the point is very, very crucial, very important. So let's say if you're talking about voting rights for minority groups, or political representation for minority groups, if that is your topic, or you are talking about healthcare provision for persons with disability, if that is your message should be able to determine the outcome. So the outcome is what action you want to be taken at the end of your speech, or what level of awareness do you want to imbibe in your audience at the end of your speech. All that depends on the message that you're giving to them, the message that you're dishing out to them. The next element is reaction. So reaction is very important. So as you can see, the picture on the slide here gives you emoji. So technology has made it easy for us, easier for us to see reactions, feelings, and emotions in the form of emojis. So the message that you're delivering, is it something that will be liked by your audience? Is it something that will be loved by your audience? Is it something that would strike a sense of humor and make them smile, and come back to listen to you? Is it something that will make your audience frown at you? Is it something that will make your audience be amazed, like, wow, I never knew about this? Or is it something that will make your audience sad? For example, if I am going to talk about religious tolerance in driving sustainable development, or religious tolerance and sustainable development in 21st century Nigeria, definitely I am going to put my message in a way that does, in a context that does not discriminate any religious sect within Nigeria as a country. So it means I cannot project to say Christians have more power and more rights over Muslims in Nigeria, neither Muslims have more right over Christians in Nigeria. However, I can strike a balance to say Christians and Muslims and any other religious sect that is in Nigeria, they all have equal right and responsibilities to promote development in Nigeria, to stand up for unity in Nigeria, to stand up for justice, and to stand up to continue the fights that their forefathers fought, their great leaders fought in the past, so that they may lead the country to where they want to be in the next decade or in the next century or so. So the manner in which you deliver your message impacts the reaction of the audience. And the reaction of the audience also have a reverse impact on you, the speaker, you, the person delivering the presentation. If you're delivering a speech and then you start talking about something that makes people angry, their facial expression alone will affect your own facial expression, your own body language. Yeah, so something like that. The next element is the methods. So how are you delivering your speech? What method are you using to deliver your public speech or your presentation? For example, in May, I was invited to give a TED Talk at the University of Health Sciences in Ho City in Ghana. So I was unable to travel to Ghana, so my speech had to be pre-recorded so that I can send it to my colleagues in Ghana so that they can project it for the audience who were there. So I had to write my speech, practice it over and over, and I had to get somebody like a videographic crew team to come and film me whilst delivering the speech. So I delivered the speech in line with all the requirements and the prerequisites given by the TED community, in which all their speeches are to be delivered. So the speech was pre-recorded and I sent it to Ghana to my colleagues there, and they projected it on the day of the TED Talk. So the method you use would depend on the experience you have on the particular topic and the facilities that are available. So I was supposed to deliver a presentation on small things making big impact. So I spoke about a friend of mine who shared with me an opportunity to apply for a WMI scholarship. That was a very small act of kindness, but the opportunity he shared with me on deadline day when I applied, I got it, and it sponsored my education for 4 years at ALU to study in Rwanda. So I had experience on that particular topic, and I delivered the speech to meet the expectations of the event itself. The last element is impediment. So there are a couple of factors that may affect your presentation or may affect your speech. So before you deliver any speech, you have to take into consideration, you have to brainstorm What is there that may affect my speech? Is it my confidence? Is it my level of understanding of this topic? If it is a yes, then it means I should start practicing in front of people. I should do more research to understand the topic. You don't have to leave it to chance. Practice more, research more to understand the topic better. If it's a technological impediment, then you have to ensure that you work with the organizers to make sure everything is intact. There is a standby generator where the power may go out, whether it's EDSA in Sierra Leone or it's NEPA in Nigeria or whatever your electricity distribution supply agency is in the country you're tuning in from. So you have to take into consideration all of that. So the background noise, the audience alertness, like all of that, you have to manage them and prepare for them. So it means forecast before the speech, brainstorm before the speech. What are some factors that may affect you from delivering your speech in an effective way? So now, how do you deliver an excellent presentation, or how do you deliver an excellent speech? There is something I call the 5P principle. And the 5P principle clearly states that proper planning prevents poor performance. So before delivering the speech, you have to plan properly, plan effectively. So in planning for your speech, there are 5 prerequisites you have to fulfill. The first one is, what's the message? 1, understand the context of your message and the title of your message. Let's say you've been given a topic to deliver your speech on. So understand that topic first. Do some research to understand what the topic is about, what are some key terminologies in the topic, and the context in which you're delivering your speech. Is it to a minority group? Is it to women, to women's group? Is it a political speech? Is it in a political setting? So everything about the context, you have to answer all the previous questions: when and where, who will your audience be, what are their expectations, all of that. That's the number 1 of the 5P principle. Number 2, who are my audience? Like, get to understand your audience. Who are the caliber of people that you're talking to, so that you are able to prepare your speech to meet their expectations. Number 3, how do you get your audience attention? For example, we were taught in our networking class when I was in university that if you are ever going to a public presentation or a conference or a seminar, whatever, and then there are people there that you want to network with, before you go to that meeting, do some research about them. If they have made publications, they have sat on panels, they've given speeches, delivered, arguments, written research papers, take one of that, and then you read about it. And then when you meet those people, you have something where a conversation can strike. The same applies in getting your audience attention. Know the caliber of people. And then when you're bringing in humor into your speech, something that would make them connect with you. So the way you project your voice, all of that. And then the 4th one is the main point of your presentation. It is always important, depending on how long your presentation will be, for you to know what the main points are, so that you can be able to deliver your presentation, not leaving any one of them out, but also within the amount of time that has been stipulated to you. And then the 5th one is closing statement. In closing statement, there is something called the principle of recency. So the principle of recency states that people always remember the last thing they hear from a particular presentation or from a speech. So when Barack Obama was delivering his presidential debate for the 2008 election, his closing statement was, "Yes, we can." And that became the hashtag for his entire campaign. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. So people took it personal. Yes, I can. Like, it increased people's confidence in themselves and also in his candidacy for presidency. So your speech should always end with a very powerful statement that align with what the people can relate with. posture and body language. So this is something very important. This is something very important. When delivering a public speech, you always have to keep your body open. You do not have to be like standing in one place and like have your arms all put together like this, your legs joined together like that. No, it means you have to open your body, not like stretch your hands like this, except if you're making demonstrations. Like, let's say, for example, we need to embrace each other with love and humility, something like you can open your arms wide like this. But it means open your body in a way that you can be able to move your hands and you can be able to like make gestures and signs that help the audience to relate with you. And then the next one is to open your palms. So whenever I'm delivering a speech, I can only make my fist like this when I'm a little bit nervous, and I'm able to overcome my nervousness within split seconds. So once I make this, to me, the fist means power. Some people, they will have a pin that they will be squeezing like this, and some people would go on stage with a stress ball. So for me, I am a firm believer of stoicism. So whenever I make the fist like this, I am conjuring power in my hands. So I open it again, and then I start delivering my speech or go past the particular stumbling block that I may have encountered. So open your palms and like make sure you are within the confines wherein you're not projecting your hands all over like this. Like you just maintain that particular body posture in that particular circumference where you find yourself, where you'll be standing on the stage. The next one is you have to get comfortable with the stage. So if you're delivering a speech, try to go get on stage before the program starts. Or if it's an impromptu something, take some time to observe the stage, know where you would be able to really position yourself to see the audience very well, and where you will be able to connect with your audience very well. And getting comfortable with the stage would help you to really deliver your speech well and not to go out of context as well. And then face your audience. In delivering your speech, you do not have to give your back to the audience. In drama, that is what we call offstage. So you don't have to give your back to the audience at all. It's a form of respect to always face them, let them hear from you and let them look at you directly when you're talking to them. So it's also advisable to use hand gestures. So for example, when I was talking about the different context a few minutes ago, I made my fingers like this, something like this. So I was counting. So if you're counting, it's good to do like this. Number one, you have to take this into consideration. Number two, you have to do this. Number three, you have, so people would relay with you and they will know what you're talking about in that particular instance, and they would be able to grasp the meaning and purpose of the presentation in general. And then keep your distance from the podium. So the podium in this context is the lectern. So in church, those of you that are Christians, when you're in church, there's the area where we call the pulpit, or the lectern, where the priest or the pastor or the preacher stands to preach. So if you have something like that on the stage, make sure you are not always standing by it. You're not always leaning to it. So try to be confident, and you can come closer to it, but you should not be leaning on it. You should not be there all the time. So find some time to connect with your audience by moving some distance away from the pulpit or from the lectern or the podium. The next one is dress code. No matter the type of event, as long as you're delivering a speech, you're making a presentation, Like your dress code should be within the acceptable norm of the gathering where you're delivering that presentation. If it's in a political setting, dress formally. If it's a business setting, dress formally. There are some dress codes that are very close to casual. They call them business casual. It's not too formal, but it's also very responsible. So whenever I'm going to deliver a speech, if I don't want to dress too formal, I'll dress business casual, because it shows a sense of responsibility. It shows a sense of maturity. It shows a level of preparedness and how confident you are as well. But most importantly, dress in a way that you are comfortable in what you wear, and what you wear shows also your level of responsibility, your level of seriousness, your level of maturity, and your level of preparedness. The next aspect is voice and language. So this talks about how you project your voice throughout the presentation. So I gave an example earlier on about a speaker at a particular presentation which I participated in which the speaker started off well, but there was a power cut and a glitch with the PA system. So the speaker did not prepare very well with his natural voice. So that affected his speech, and also it affected the audience reaction to his speech. And in terms of language, you have to be mindful. You have to be mindful how, like, the language you use to communicate, because it will help the audience understand what you're talking about. So do not use jargons in your speech. If you're using any word that you think or you are assuming that your audience may not understand, immediately after stating it, give a hint of the meaning of the word in your presentation. For example, I would say, I don't want you to be gallivanting like an aimless person. You understand? So it means I don't want somebody to be moving around, or I don't want you to be gallivanting aimlessly. I just want you to be seated or watch your movement around this particular area. So a statement like that helps the person listening to you to understand what gallivanting means in the context in which you have used it. So stay away from jargons. And also the other aspect of language talks about the sensitivity of the topic you're talking about. So for example, I cannot be talking about gender-based violence and then I come out all off with my ego and do not empathize with people that are actually going through gender-based violence, regardless of whether they are men or women. I have to show that I am empathetic, and I have to show that violence has no place in a society where peace and love is. So the language you use, you have to be mindful of it. There are people who would find certain terms you use offensive. For example, in the world of diplomacy and international relations, people have lost their offices because of anti-Semitism. So anti-Semitism is your dismissal of the atrocities that happened during the Holocaust, and also segregation of people from Israel. So you talk bad at Israel within an international context, like you will not be favored by the West. So terminologies, language, know what are sensitive to some people, and know how you use the language when you're delivering your speech or your presentation. Lastly, knowing your audience also helps you choose the language or the terminologies you use. So if you're speaking to people in the business community, depending on the caliber of people, always try to know who are your audience, who make up your audience. And then if it's a business setting, go on Google, do some research, vocabularies in the risk management world, in the fraud field, or in the plant and nutrition sector, you will find a lot of vocabularies and terminologies to use in your presentation. The next aspect is using rhetorical concepts. So rhetorical concepts are very powerful, and they help us to put our speech together and our communication together so that our audiences will be able to understand us. So there are three rhetorical concepts that you can use in delivering your speech. So in talking about this rhetorical concept, I would like to respond to the question asked by Gat Joel. How can I increase my competency in public while speaking or presenting? Good. So this is the part where we are now, using rhetorical concept. So rhetorical concept helps you to increase your competency, helps you to deliver your speech very well. So now listen to this one, because this is the salt, the Maggi, the spice and the sugar in the meal. This is a very important part because it deals directly with what comes out of your mouth, the message. It deals with the message, the quality of the message, how you should drive conviction, how you should let people give you rounds of applause, standing ovation, let them take action after your speech. Let them keep on talking about what you said, just like how the world would never stop talking about the I Have a Dream speech delivered by Dr. Martin Luther King of blessed memory. So the first rhetorical concept is ethos. Ethos is appeal by ethics. Appeal by ethics. So it explains the character of the speaker, the credibility of the speaker, and the authority of the speaker or the presenter. So who is this person standing in front of me to talk? Before I started presenting, Miriam read my biography to you, like a short bio to you. So you had a sense of where I am working, the country I am from, and the level of experience that I have. So you're here to listen to somebody who is working in the office of the mayor of Freetown and working with a politician. And then you are thinking, oh, somebody who works with a politician as a project lead, it means they can represent the politician they're working with on the particular project they're working on at any time. So this person has been talking for some time. And then I'm also working in the university setting as a lecturer. So it means I'm always communicating with people. So that gives you some level of confidence to even sit down and listen to me to talk to you about public speaking and presentation. So in delivering your presentation, you should always be able to let people know who you are, what you stand for, what have you done, what is your impact, and what are some of your convictions. It is very important for people to know, oh, I can listen to this person anytime, any day, because they're very impactful, they're very inspiring, you understand? So for you to be able to build ethos in any presentation, it's simple. Continue working on yourself every day so that people would invite you to speak to topics that you have experience on. You have experience in, and you can talk about them like an expert, or you can talk about them as a professional in that particular sector. If I'm given a topic to talk about and I don't have much experience in that particular area, I would definitely tell the person inviting me, hey, I don't have much experience in this area, but I know somebody who might be a very good panelist or a very good speaker for you on this particular topic. I'll gladly do that. The second aspect is pathos. So pathos is the appeal by emotion. So it helps the listener, the audience, to be emotionally connected with you. So if I'm speaking, so very recently, I just concluded a boot camp on entrepreneurship and social innovation. It's a World Bank funded project called Sierra Leone Economic Diversification Project. So the boot camp was for 3 different universities. 2 of them had pitch nights, and then 1 is having a hackathon. So I had to train them on how to put their business ideas together, how to develop their business plans and everything. So these were students coming with different business ideas. So what did I do? I made sure I took out from the application when they applied to come to the bootcamp all their ideas. For 3 days, I studied the sectors in which their ideas were coming from, the amount of funding and opportunities that were there, the barriers to success, challenges that are in that particular sector for early stage entrepreneurs and startups, and also the potential that is within their businesses. The only thing I left out was the capacity of the students themselves to deliver, to pitch their ideas. I left that out because I wanted to listen to them first in person, so I can give them good feedback on how they can refine their idea and how they themselves can deliver it, can present it. So we got to the boot camp. I was delivering my presentation and I was talking about everybody's idea. Mind you, I am not a genius. I'm not an expert in all of the ideas, but I studied, I prepared for it. So because I am in the entrepreneurship domain, I do a lot of research about funding opportunities and also research about startups, small to medium enterprises and all of that. So I had feedback for each and every person. So in delivering my presentation to them, I was creating an emotional connection with them. Oh, this presenter has interest in my business. So that connection I created with them helped them to embrace the feedback that I gave them, and they worked on their ideas very well. And we were able to get the top 8, and the way they performed during the pitch night, it was exceptional. So imagine if I was just bashing out their ideas, I was not giving them feedback. Imagine if I was biased, I did not create that emotional connection with them. They would not have been able to embrace my feedback or to apply my feedback to refine their ideas, not at all. So in delivering a public speech or presentation, wherever, make sure you are able to create an emotional connection. There is something about the topic that you have felt that the audience might have also felt or experienced in the past or even in the present. Make sure you're able to create that connection. If you're talking to parents, if I'm delivering a speech to parents, I'll bring up instances. I remember when I was a kid, I was very stubborn. I was very troublesome, but my mom never gave up on me. A mother who is in that audience will be smiling because they might have a stubborn child and they love them so much and they do not want to give up on that child. So you create emotional connection with your audience so that they will love your speech, they will be interested in it, and they will be all invested in listening to you. The last aspect is logos. So this is the appeal by logic. So in a very formal setting where you're making your presentation, you have to, logos basically talks about organization of speech, the use of statistics, the use of facts, reality, the use of facts, something that is tangible enough, proof. That is what logic is in your speech. So for example, if you're let me use the context of the boot camp again. So we had a good number of students who were pitching their business ideas. It's here in Sierra Leone. They said they were, one was solving a problem of unemployment for youth. And the person said, like, young people in Sierra Leone are unemployed and the government is not doing much for them. Like the government is really not focusing on youth and all of that. And I was not convinced. I am also in that sector. And I've been researching that particular sector, the youth empowerment and the youth unemployment sector, for the last 7 years of my career. So I was able to put that particular speaker, that student, I was able to hold her and ask her a few questions. Number one, I asked her, the population of Sierra Leone is 7.5 million. Out of that 7.5 million, what is the percentage of youth? Look up the UNDP. They give statistics on youth unemployment and youth employment. What is the rate of unemployment in Sierra Leone? And then look up the statistics Sierra Leone. What is the rate of unemployed youth in proportion to the number of graduates coming from the University of Sierra Leone every year? So when I raised those concerns, she sat down, took her laptop, did some research, got some statistics from the internet, and then she was able to present a very solid argument to say 1/3 of the population of Sierra Leone are young people. At any given time, 800,000 young people are unemployed and they lack the required skills to be successful in the job market. So it was on that note that she was proposing an entrepreneurship and career development program for young people. So the logic, the use of statistics and the use of data would help you to communicate your message very well and let the people understand you very well. I don't know how far I'm gone on the time, but I think my time is almost up. Let me just try to respond to 2 questions at most. Kasim Fusheni is asking a question about saying, how does one achieve voice modulation when delivering a speech? This is a very good question, Kasim. So voice modulation depends on how quiet or how noisy the room is where you're delivering your speech. So in modern day, microphones are always available where there is a PA system and there's access to electricity. So you have a microphone to deliver your speech. So to achieve voice modulation, that depends on you, the speaker. So you have to know when you have to, like what specific point in your speech that you really have to stress on, where you have to increase your voice or you have to lower your voice. And then also try to not be putting the microphone too close to your mouth so that the waves, the sound waves, like do not interfere with the output from the PA system. Yeah. So voice modulation, it's only you who can be able to address that. So it's about how high pitch your voice is and how low your voice is. And that also depends on the level of decorum in the room where you're delivering your speech. So if it's in an open space where you're having 7,000 people listening to you, if it's a political rally, whatever it is, that means like in an open space, like there are waves. The sound of your voice travels through a spectrum and it disperses like this. So it means it would mean you have to increase your voice so that the last person at the back will be able to hear you. Yeah. One more question.
Hi, Alpha. I think there's no any other question in the chat box.
Yeah, there is no other question. So, Madam Timekeeper, thank you very much for having me on the webinar. It's my pleasure.
Okay, I just received one right now. There's one question in the Q&A. So the person is asking, Does tonal variation matter in public speaking?
Does what?
Tonal variation matter in public speaking?
Can you post a question in the chat? Let me see it. I can't clearly get you.
Okay. I can't copy it. Then just go to the Q&A. It's at the top of your.
Yeah. Okay. Does tonal variation matter in public speaking? Yes. It matters a lot. Tonal variation matters a lot. Give me a second. Let me go to this slide. Yeah. So voice and language, if you can see the picture on the left-hand side, it shows you like transmission. The image represents transmission. So when you're delivering your speech, if you're bowing down your head, the transmission is going down. If your head is straight like this, it travels in straight line. And then the people seated right there will listen to you. So if you're bowing your head, the people seated at the front will be the ones to hear you best. But when you're projected, you're standing up straight and you're speaking to people. And depending on the tone of your voice, if you're high pitched, everybody in the room will be able to listen to you and hear what you're saying clearly. So what I do most of the time, I make sure that for the tone of my voice not to be affected, I do not take peanut butter paste before a speech delivery or presentation. I make sure I am not too full. Like I don't eat too much before a presentation. You understand? Because there's a lot of energy burning on in your system. A lot of calories that you're using to deliver your presentation, to talk. That is why when you speak for a long time, you come to realize that at the end of your speech, you are almost hungry because you're using a lot of energy. So make sure you are well prepared. And if it's a small group, you can talk at like minimal tone. But if it's a large crowd, then you have to practice speaking to a large crowd so that you are able to determine whether the people at the back can hear you, if it's your normal voice, and then whether if it's through a microphone. That also depends how, like the amount of output, the number of output speakers that are within the room. So in some conference halls, you will find like 4 to 5 speakers within the room. So even if you speak very low, people will still hear you. But it is always advisable to be in between. So those that sing music, the musicians know that the voice categories, the pitch categories, you have soprano, you have tenor, you have alto, you have bass. It is always advisable to use alto when you are delivering a speech, because alto is the normal voice that you use to speak. Yeah, you can't be delivering a speech using the voice that you sing with. Yeah, and then sometimes you can also switch between alto and bass, but always try to like
Okay, I think we lost Alpha. Probably the network issues. So we'll just wait for like 2 minutes, about a minute to see and join in, and then we'll close up the webinar session for today. Okay, welcome back, Alpha.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. So tonal variation is important, and I hope you all take that into consideration to practice speaking at a high level and also at a medium tone variation so that your audience will be able to clearly understand you. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been my pleasure to share my experience with you and also to be with you in this webinar. Thank you, Miriam and team, and thank you to WMI for creating this platform.
Thank you so much, Alpha. I think it has been a very interesting and educating webinar. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. And yeah, thank you so much. It was really eye-opening.
You're welcome.
So our participants or attendees, thank you so much for joining us. So we hope that you learned a lot from this webinar, and starting from today, you will be putting those public speaking skills to practice, and all what Alpha has said during the course of this presentation. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. On behalf of the WMI Global Advisory Webinar team, we are wishing you all a great week.
Thank you.
Bye, Alpha. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Mariam.